these walls could talk. I am your host, Wendy Stuart. Our other host is traveling again, Tym Moss, but he sends his love. And how is everybody today? I am still in Pride recovery. That's right. It was such an amazing Pride this year. I think because this pandemic is, I want to say, somewhat hopefully coming to an end, and New York City Pride was just unbelievable. I had the absolute greatest time. I marched this year with the Imperial Court of New York, and for those of you who were there on the sidelines cheering us on, thank you. You saw we had not only a gorgeous banner, but most people had crowns on. I'm not that high up in the court yet. I am Viscountess Wendy Darling, so I don't have a crown. Okay, but I sure did have an outfit to wear, and we just had the best time. And this was so incredible. First year ever. We had an early kickoff. When does that ever happen? Usually I am standing there for 5 hours with the sun beating down on me waiting to march. But this year was just really super special. And I was so grateful to be able to do that. And then went up to my girlfriend's house that overlooks the Pride route, got to watch the whole Pride come down, the floats, everything. We were in a building on 15th Street and 7th Avenue. Every time I saw a good float, I'd run down the stairs with my friend Nicole, and we would dance to the music. So it was great. And I finished it all up at Julius Bar. Whoa, that was really exhausting. So I hope everybody is great today. I have a really, really wonderful guest who is highly recommended by a dear, dear friend of mine, Gay from the Naval Academy, go figure, and just an amazing person in himself. My friend Skip said to me, you got to meet my friend. He's an amazing singer. His name is Mark Aaron James, and he's known as the king of quirky pop for intelligent people. I like that. So come on in, slide on over. Really,
hello.
Welcome to the show today. Let me slide this way. That's great. You know, for those of you watching, we don't have much space here. We have, we're doing this with a little computer. My God, it's like having like a phone with a tin can. That's what streaming is like.
There are 3 cameramen and we're in a spacious theater. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. I so wish for the day comes, right, with the 3 camera and spaciousness. But you know what? We have learned to work with what we have. So how are you doing? How was your Pride?
It was amazing. I actually walked in the parade for the first time in my life. I've been here for so long, but I never walked in the parade before. Yes,
wow.
So that was a blast.
Well, what prompted you to walk this year?
My boyfriend works for is a photographer, and he takes pictures for a plastic surgeon who does top surgery for trans people. So I was actually an ally for trans men who are in the parade with their shirts off. And
I love it.
Got so much positive energy.
I bet everybody was. They were all clapping.
It was a blast. They were so supportive.
Wow, all clapping for you. And I mean, that is so great, because I'm sure for a lot of them who were walking, it was their first time as well.
Well, I mean, the word pride really means a lot when you're finally able to, have your outside match your inside. It's really great.
You know what, Mark? That is that's a t-shirt. I totally love that you said that and how special it was for people that day. Can you tell us who the plastic surgeon is? I always like to give shout out and accolades.
Oh, geez. Keith, and his name begins with a B, but I'm not going to remember.
Okay.
I was a +1, so I'll get it.
Oh, we've all been a +1 in our lives, but that makes that one very unique, doesn't it? Well, first of all, I want to applaud you for marching. Were you early on in the?
We were pretty early. We were in one of the, I think, the second round.
Okay, that's not too bad. I am never ever by 12:15 we were moving. That you have to understand that, and I was eternally grateful. I love the Imperial Court. For those of you who don't know, they spend every performance and events throughout the year raising money. They are totally and completely philanthropic, nationwide, and it amazes me what they do and how they help other foundations. So it was just awe-inspiring to be able to march with them. So here we are, we're in New York. You're such a busy guy. What have you been up to lately?
I've been touring for the first time. Now that COVID is kind of, I haven't been able to travel, but I just did Sacramento and wine country and LA. I was just back, was in this last weekend. and now working on putting up new songs on my Patreon and doing shows.
Tell us about your tours. Tell us what you were doing on your tours.
Well, it's I was worried because now that CDs aren't a thing anymore.
Oh, really? No one told me that.
And merch is kind of hard to travel with.
Right.
I opened a Patreon, which is sort of like a subscription. I have people who don't know that it's like you subscribe to artists you like, and you get exclusive content to what they're making. So I printed up cards that are like one-of-a-kind cards. There are only 100 of them made at a time with different pictures on them. So it's kind of like you could still go to a show and get something and have an autograph and say, I bought something at the show, but it represents becoming a patron of the Patreon.
So to get one of these cards, they have to subscribe.
Sign up. Exactly.
Right. Which I'm glad that Mark bought a Patreon. I had no idea what it was. And during the pandemic, Penny Arcade was doing a live stream from her apartment. I adore her. And one of the things she did, she made us all aware of this Patreon. And you can subscribe for as little as $5 a month.
For me, it's even $3 a month.
Right. It depends
on what you want to get from me.
Right.
And it's always worth it, depending on what level.
It's totally worth it. But what you do get, as Mark said, is exclusive content. And I know with Penny's Patreon, a portion of the proceeds go to PANGEA, where we broadcast from. So it's a way of giving back, and it's a way of really supporting the artists. What kinds of things do you share on your Patreon?
Just at the $3, like all my any song. I write a new song once a week because I'm part of a writers group, so they get to see all those songs. I also do I have 3 albums of fully produced songs on that Patreon that'll probably, maybe I'll put out a giant album of it a year later, but they get to hear all those songs first. Now. Right. I make videos pretty regularly, so maybe once or every 2 months there'll be a new fully produced video up there. Live streams from a lot of my shows. I play at a lot of country clubs and golf clubs and stuff here in New Jersey.
So you would put that
so I broadcast that just to them. They get to, like, if I'm playing a show in their neighborhood, they can request songs, and I'll put the song in the set list specifically for one of them.
Oh, that's really great, because I guess you could give that as a gift to somebody for their birthday.
There's all if you go to the Patreon page, which is patreon.com/Mark Aaron James, you can see the different levels and what it offers. And people have like at higher levels, you get a free house concert if you
okay, wait. I wasn't aware of that. Let's talk about that. Talk about a house concert.
House concerts are my favorite way to perform. They're the thing I do more than I play in venues now. I play in houses.
You like going into people's houses?
Well,
I like going into people's houses.
It's basically just a cocktail party for your friends.
Right.
But I happen to do, 2 half-hour sets of entertainment. And what's great about it for me is I don't have to worry about draw. I don't have to, there's no, it's not a club where they need to make a certain amount of money that night. It's just people who are already friends of the host.
Right.
So you know that they're going to be happy and drinking.
Now you're coming in person.
And then I come in person.
You're coming in person. This is really great.
And play a concert, basically. I do a little a 45-minute set, and then everybody drinks and has food, and then I do another little half-hour set. And what's great about it is you get to really meet everybody in the audience too. So it can be between 20 to 60 people, but you get to have a personal experience with them. You get to tell the stories of since I come from the Nashville songwriting kind of thing, you get to tell the stories of the songs and tell jokes.
I love this. This is like when you do a performance in a club or a bar, right? And you're calling up all your friends to come, but you get public as well, but it's a lot of work. Whereas with what Mark is describing, it's a little private party it's a set piece, and I'm sure all those people end up subscribing to your Patreon.
It actually recreates what used to happen in PANGEA or in Greenwich Village in the 60s and 70s, where everybody would kind of gather around.
I love it.
You'd pass a hat for the artist.
Right. So did they pass a hat for you?
Well, honestly, each house concert is kind of different. There are absolutely house concerts, in fact, I would say most of them, where it costs the host nothing, and somewhere in the middle of the show, a hat is passed, or a bucket is passed, or the bathroom garbage can,
or whatever, a bucket.
And you think about what it would cost to go out to a club and have drinks and food. It costs way less than that to go to a friend's house and then and have a bottle of wine.
I think this is a genius idea, and I was not aware that you could do this on Patreon. So the question, if we can discuss it, what is the cost for somebody to do that?
Well, it's free for the host usually, unless some hosts don't feel comfortable asking their friends to to put money in it.
Right.
So in that case, they might pay you outright. if they want to just hire you as the entertainment of the show. But most usually it's recreating that Greenwich Village thing. And it's, just, people put between $5 and $10 because, to go out would be $40, $50.
So you're saying it's like, if the host chooses to pay for it, it's like what, like 200, 250?
It's more like 500 for the host.
That is,
because think about it. If 20 people each pay $10.
You don't even need to tell me. That is, I think, an amazing deal. And not only that, it gives people a reason to gather. I mean, excuse me, I'm a girl that gives cocktail parties, okay, out at my house in Pennsylvania. How many of those boring cocktail parties can we all sustain?
Well, let's talk later and we'll do a house concert.
Yeah, I love that Mark has shared the whole concept behind Patreon with us, because I didn't know that all those levels were
Well, you can make your Patreon into whatever you can offer whatever you want.
Now, can you do the thing? I know some of the streaming platforms have these VIP things. Well, like what is it? Real fans? That's like sexual. but can't you do that with Patreon?
There are sexual Patreons.
There's sexual Patreons as well. But
mine's not.
You can't. Oh, how disappointing.
No matter how high a level you sign up for, it does not become sexual.
It doesn't, right. Sorry. You don't offer that level. But can you do a streaming VIP thing where
there is absolutely a streaming platform private YouTube links to YouTube lives that are private. Like you wouldn't know to log on here if you weren't familiar with the show.
Right.
So similarly, you just let your patrons know.
And you let
live stream.
Just brilliant. I love sharing this kind of stuff with you. So you quickly glossed over the basic fact that you're creating content once a week. You're in a songwriting group and you write. Who writes the song a week? How does this happen?
Here in the East Village, since the 70s, there was a group called the Jack Hardy Songwriter Circle. And it has some famous members and it has some not famous members, but everybody would meet up at Jack's house. Jack has since passed away. Now it's done elsewhere. Every Monday. And it doesn't matter if you write the greatest song in the world or the worst song in the world. You're supposed to write something every Monday and bring it into the group.
Well, it's like a
and
writer's
then the group
group
discusses it.
Right.
Yeah. And I try. It just keeps your engine greased.
No, I mean it would, but to keep coming up with a song, because in writers groups, right, where I belong to those, we can write stories, we can write poetry or whatever. With music, you're writing lyrics and the music. How do you?
I mean, every time I come up with an idea or hear a cool saying,
such a musical guy.
I just put it in my phone, and then when it comes to Sunday. Usually it's Sunday. Sometimes we have what we call 5 o'clock special, where it's Monday and you don't have a song yet, and you just sit down and write something. And sometimes those turn out to be the best songs. Some of the best songs I've ever written. Also, I'm writing. Yeah. Also, I'm writing towards a show, so I kind of know what songs I need to write for my show. Right. So that gives me I want a song for this scene, and that way I kind of know.
Well, yeah, right. Okay, so now you've opened it up because you're writing for a show. You have a goal. You have a structure. Tell us about the show, can you?
Well,
you have to tell us the title if it's too soon.
Pre-COVID, I wrote a show called Hero: An Origin Story, which was in the New York Musical Theater Festival,
right?
And was runner-up for best reading in the festival. And I brought every song from that to that writers group. And now I'm writing a second show, which is based on a reality television show where they repair antiques.
Oh,
which is random, but.
Wait, but no, here's you know what? Everything I read about this guy, they said he was quirky. That is quirky. How do you write like something about repairing antiques? I know you can do it.
It's sort of a metaphor for repairing yourselves, but
love it.
There's a British TV show that kind of inspired me. It's not based on the show, but it inspired me, where people would bring in, this is Grandpa's clock and it's broken. And this was the teddy bear Daddy gave me right before he passed away. And then really, provocative stories. And they would both tell the story of the item, and then they would repair the item. And I just thought that's a great format for kind of learning about people and having quirky characters.
Where have you been, my old teddy bear? Where have you been? I saw you right there.
The teddy bear story. The teddy bear story is my favorite one.
I love it
because it's a reality television show. A girl brings in a teddy bear, and it's been through. Probably shouldn't tell plot. Well, I'll tell this little plot.
You can tell us this.
It gets destroyed in one of the hurricanes. It's sitting in a basement in water, and it gets all moldy and mildewed, and it's a stiff teddy bear. You know what Stife teddy bears
Of course, those were big when I was a kid, and they came with a little red Stife label, and the fur's really thick on all the stuffed animals.
They're worth like 80 grand, the original ones.
Yeah.
So
this one isn't though, because it's
moldy
waterlogged.
So the girl who repairs them
waterlogged
gets the bear, and it's not repairable. Remember, it's a reality television show. It's such a great story.
Right.
Remember, it's like you have to repair the bear. We'll buy a new one and just tell her you fixed her bear.
Right.
So this woman whose job is to repair teddy bears has to decide if she's going to lie on television or not.
Wow.
So she doesn't. What she does is she takes the old teddy bear, she puts it in a vat of bleach. She then puts it in a blender. She takes the new Stife teddy bear, which is worth like 80 grand. It's a vintage Stife teddy bear, and cuts it open, which is against everything in her mind.
And stuffs it with the old bear.
And then tells the girl, this isn't your bear, but your bear is in there. And then she sings a beautiful song.
Oh my God.
So we hold on to things about how we value old parts of us.
It's like using a cremation.
Yeah. So
we could do that with our animals. You really think
you don't want
that.
to take a cremated animal and put it in another animal.
Well, no, but you could you could take like a stuffed animal of your dog, right?
Oh, and
if you have the ashes and you stuff it in there. I think I'm onto something here.
In your musical, you can use ashes. I'm going to use the old bear.
My musical will use the ashes.
Well, you started your teddy bear song already. I thought it was great.
Thank you. I do parodies, but I'm no singer, and I really have the kind of mind that goes in a million directions. So that can work for or against. When you're doing, as you know, a musical, you kind of have to focus the subject, and all the words have to work together. Sometimes my words don't work together.
I've given myself a deadline of December to finish at least. I've got all the songs done. I need to write the book now. Yeah, because I wrote the book for Hero as well.
So you did.
I did.
Right. So but when you talk about writing the book, that's when they call the book
story,
the musical thing that they write. Like I just saw Quinn Lemley in Bring on the Heat, Rita Hayworth, and I talked to the writer from that. He wrote the book. They
always say you shouldn't write both, and I didn't want to write both. And I have good dear friends who
did the music and the book.
Yeah, I did the music and the book.
There you go. So it has been done, and that's why I'm telling you. That's very. How did you become such a creative person?
I think that's just inherent in people. My dad was a performer. He was a dentist, but he played guitar and sang, and I just it's just always been. I've always known it was my purpose.
So okay, but there you have it. I talk about this all the time. I mean, is it genetic, or is it the house that you grew up in, or is a little bit of both? I mean, who knows?
I think it was summer camp for me. I went in summer camp. You have to write songs and play around. The guy who plays guitar around the campfire is the king of summer camp.
Yeah.
So I think that just made me love being a performer and a singer and a writer.
It was summer camp that inspired you. Were you ever a Boy Scout? Don't they do the campfire thing at the Boy Scouts?
I was a Boy Scout, but I grew up at a beach town, so we didn't have many campfires.
Well, yeah, really. Well, you could have a bonfire on the beach, but yeah, there's not a heck of a lot you can do as a Boy Scout on the beach.
It was more summer camp.
It was summer camp was your inspiration. You see that? People don't realize all that comes from going away to summer
makes
camp.
You independent. It gives you kind of a life outside of your parents. You
right.
Can be somewhere where you're not where it's not school friends. You kind of reinvent yourself.
I like that. Right. And it teaches you how to get along well with others, which is super important. Okay. So you're this little kid. You grew up in Cocoa Beach?
Cocoa Beach, Florida.
I love it. I just wanted to say Cocoa Beach. Wasn't I Dream of Jeannie a Cocoa Beach?
I Dream of Jeannie. It's funny. Nobody says, isn't NASA near Cocoa Beach? They always go, isn't I Dream of Jeannie? Whereas because he was an astronaut.
Right, but he worked as a master. I always get that I look like I Dream of Jeannie.
See a little Barbara Eden.
Barbara Eden. So I totally love that show. But that's what I remember about Cocoa Beach. And I remember as a kid thinking, oh, I would love to live in a place called Cocoa Beach.
It is a great town.
Idyllic kind of childhood there.
I wouldn't want to live there as a grown up, but
right.
It was a great place to grow up.
Right.
My parents are still there. I visit often.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And your dad, is he still performing?
He plays guitar and sings for friends and stuff.
He does. Okay.
And he did some community. He was Tevye and Fiddler on the Roof of the Cocoa Beach.
Yay! We look at the Cocoa
Playhouse.
Beach play. I actually have heard of the Cocoa Beach Playhouse because they. I always used to read backstage, and they always cast for that there. So your dad has performed at the Cocoa Beach.
Yes.
Wow, that's really great. What about your mom?
My mother has passed away. She worked in my dad's office. She was a real mover, and she was running for office when she got sick. And then my father is remarried to a wonderful, wonderful woman named Gail. I've got a great stepmom.
Yeah.
In fact, I wrote a song called Stepmomma Blues about my stepmom.
I love that Stepmomma Blues. And your
Stepmoms
mom,
get a bad rep, but she's
right.
awesome.
You gave her a good one because
Exactly.
she is a good one. And then your mom running for office before she passed away. That's incredible.
She was a mover and a shaker for sure.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
supportive.
obviously, Mark has inherited all that moving and
I move, I
shaking
shake.
himself. Now, my friend Skip, who referred you to the show, you all went to high school together?
That's correct.
So what was that like? Because Skip went on to the Naval Academy.
Cocoa Beach High School is like one of those one of the TV shows where everybody's beautiful and they all are beachy people and there's drama and everybody fits a real
mold
stereotype.
Yeah, right.
That's the football player.
Right.
And that is absolutely what our high school was like. It was a very small high school, 158 people, I think, in our class.
That is really small.
Yeah. So it was, but it was, like I said, it was idyllic to grow up there for sure.
Yeah, no, I get I love Mark sharing his childhood. We get people with various kinds of childhood, and I always wonder how it creates the work, right?
Well, I always make the joke that I'll never be a pop star because I had a happy childhood and didn't do copious amounts of drugs, so I'm screwed.
No, that's well, honestly, when I met you, I thought, because Skip had always told me about you, I'm like, God, he's so nice and polite and squeaky clean. And when I see somebody like that, I want to scratch the veneer and find out all the dirty secrets underneath. and there actually weren't any. So you left Cocoa Beach High School and then you went to Vanderbilt, in Tennessee.
Didn't even visit it, just knew it was in Nashville and knew it was a music town. And
right, you were hell-bent for Nashville. But you weren't necessarily at that age writing country music.
No country. I mean, I don't hate country music or anything, but it was not. I'm a child of Billy Joel. I write quirky pop songs with lots of lyrics and stories.
You are a child of Billy Joel, yeah, from everything I've read about you. So how did Vanderbilt further your interest in being a performer on this level?
I wish I wasn't in the Broadway troupe at Vanderbilt, and I wish that I had done. Vanderbilt was very separate from Nashville then. I hear it participates a lot more now.
I would hope it's right in their own backyard,
but,
right?
You get wrapped up in college when you're in college. But I did end up staying in Nashville and being a part of the writer community there. It really taught me the craft of songwriting because they're very craft oriented. There are a lot of people sitting here, and they do writers in the round, and that really helped me become a better songwriter. And then I started hosting writers' nights. So through that, I got to meet a lot of great writers, a lot of great artists. And as much as I think I stayed there a little too long, I wouldn't be the writer I am now if I had not had my time.
Okay, so I have to ask that question: how long were you there?
I left in 2001.
And when did you start?
We're going to start
how
revealing
many years?
Let's just say I was there.
Just I
was there 10 years.
Oh my God. I remember that's really funny because I remember my mother pointing out kids that were like, you don't want to be a perpetual student. So-and-so in my neighborhood, has been in that school for 7 years.
It was good for me in that because there were clubs right out of Vanderbilt. I could get 20 kids to come see me play a show. So a bar would book me before they would book, a new up and comer,
right? Because
come in Nashville because I had a draw.
Right, you had a
get
draw.
My fraternity brothers to come and
you were in a fraternity.
I was in a fraternity.
Oh my God, you were in a fraternity. Those things are so bizarre and weird to me. So
Vanderbilt is very, very Greek centric.
Yeah, it is. But I'm going to ask a question. Were you out then?
No.
So that you were in a fraternity, yeah.
I wasn't even out to myself pretty much then.
Right. So that's why I was going to ask that because the whole fraternity thing is.
Yeah, it wasn't like the porn movies where everybody's just sleeping with each other.
Right. Sigma Migma Phi. What was the name of yours?
ZBT, Zeta Beta Tau.
Zeta Beta Tau, and then some. So you were part of a fraternity, and you were in college for a very long time.
Well, no, I wasn't in college for the 10 years. I was just in Nashville. I just did 4 years of college and then stayed for another 6 years.
And you stayed for another 6 years, but how smart are you? Because. Listen, a lot of us, like myself included, I graduated from college and, where are you going? What are you doing? Oh my God, I'm coming down to New York. And, my first couple of years here were total and complete disaster. It was hard. I had a million part-time jobs, no comfort zone, lived over a liquor store with a roommate that would try and kill herself every 6
But
months.
that sounds like everybody's great New York
I know, but you know
experience.
what? I'm listening to you, and Mark, you're so like, you're placid, you're focused, I don't get a lot of tumult coming from you. Or are you hiding it?
I have a manager. I do have a manager who once wanted to stop being my manager because she didn't feel like I was tortured enough.
No, this is, and now like the whole way I advertised you, I would change it. I would say it, Mark Aaron James, a totally untortured soul.
I promise I have my torture.
It's amazing. You haven't suffered. Oh my God. You make me feel dirty. I'm just kidding. I'm just
suffering is good. It's good. It makes great art, suffering. I might have been Kurt Cobain or something if I just suffered.
Yeah, but you know what? You write great music.
Well,
you quirky, definitely up and fun.
I have some sad songs, but yeah, I'm more known for
right. Well, of course, because
goofiness.
You have that dimension to you, but yeah, you're known for your goofiness. So I'd like to see the clip that we're showing today. This song is your newest song.
No, this isn't my newest song.
Okay.
This was a ploy. I wanted to get DJs to play my music.
Okay.
So I was thinking of new ways to do that, and I realized that there's a song on Monday. People play on Ruby Tuesday on Tuesdays, Monday, or come Monday. But there are no songs about Thursday. So I wrote a song about Thursday, thinking that maybe DJs would play it on Thursday.
Okay, I think that is brilliant. Well, let's go ahead and hear it.
You and me, we got a Thursday kind of love. It ain't at the beginning, and I doubt it's gonna end. I can't put it all on paper, but when push comes to shove, if we lose it for a few days, I know it's coming around again. You and me, we got a Thursday kind of thing. It's not the party of the weekend. It doesn't have that Monday sting. It's not boring like a Tuesday. And we're well over the hump in a lifetime full of daydreams. We've got a Thursday kind of love, yeah. Yeah. You and me, we got a February feel. The holidays are over. All the gifts are put away, but still it's Valentine's occasionally. That's part of its appeal. And it still feels like the new year in a not so new year way. And you and me, we got a February groove. It changes every 4 years. It's cold if we don't move, but it's never really winter. It isn't really spring. In the calendar, kind of. We've got a February thing. Yes. Ooh. My whole world could change tomorrow. Special occasions make the news. Long-term happiness and sorrow comes from the day-to-day decisions that you choose. And I've decided I like Thursday kind of love, where someone makes the coffee while the other makes the bed. It's that little bit of comfort, but just a smidgen of the wonder of what lies ahead. We've got a Thursday kind of love. Yeah. We've got a Thursday kind of love. Yeah.
He's done very.
Yay! Yay!
That was the Hudson County Folk Festival.
Oh, I know the Hudson County Folk Festival. How totally cool. That was really quite lovely.
Thanks.
And totally entertaining. So you have quite a history of playing lots of venues and festivals. Now, you've played at the Bitter End.
Yeah.
Was that one of your first gigs when you came out
when I visited?
Tennessee?
Yep. When I visited New York, I played at the Bitter End with some friends who were Nashville writers who had a Bitter End shows. That was one of the first places I ever played. great history there.
It's great history there. Yeah. It's one of my favorite venues, and they've given an awful lot of people their start.
The whole folk scene, all the Bob Dylans and, all the Eagles.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Every single one of them. What was it like for you when you first came up here? Well, because you knew everyone in Nashville. Okay. You got booked to work in bars because they know you had a draw. Now you're in New York. You're a little fish in a very big pond.
I got really like the first time I played the bitter end, I was opening for Mark Cohn, who did Walking in Memphis.
Oh, Walking,
and his background singer was David Crosby that day. So I was like in the bitter end with Mark Cohn and David Crosby.
I can't believe it.
First time I ever played in New York.
Wow.
So I got really lucky on when it came to being introduced to the city.
Right. And from first shot out of the bag.
And I also, because I had been in Nashville, I think I could book some things. There was the living room, and
I remember the living room.
That was a great place. And then the living room kind of got replaced by Rockwood Music Hall, which was amazing. So I kind of did those scenes when I first came to town, which was a really building, growing scene in New York. You're at the right time, I think.
You came right place, right time, as they say. So, for that level of performing when you came here, did you need a manager? Did you need an agent?
I did have a manager, and I find that for songwriting gigs, an agent wasn't that. I was one of those people who would, go up to a laundromat and say, "You should have live music in here, and it should be me."
No, hold up. I love that idea. That's great. Why not? Why not have a performer like you playing at the laundry, doing laundry in a laundromat? Is about the worst thing in the world.
I have played in a laundromat before in Nashville. There was a place called Harvey Washbangers. There was a laundromat bar.
Washbanger, and it was a laundromat.
Which I don't know. There should be more of those. Why aren't there more laundromat bars? You're going to be there for a couple hours anyways. You might as well have live music in a bar.
No, but this is you've just opened up something. Why don't more people do it? What a great idea.
So I'm always trying to find ways to get my songs in front of people. I would rather play in a place that doesn't have music and be the first musician there than play in a venue where there are 6 musicians playing throughout the night.
Right, where you're one of. Oh my God, so I totally agree.
Created. When I moved here, I just kind of I held a house concert in my apartment where I would invite writers from out of town and have it. We called it 3 Chairs in Jersey. And we would do a songwriters in the round in my house.
It was a jam, actually.
Yeah, pretty much, but done for an audience, though.
Right. And you know what you're making me think? That's exactly what you're doing on your Patreon.
It sort of is that. It's a subscription. I mean, it's not in person, but the house concerts are certainly the same thing.
Right. Well, but you do offer on your Patreon, they can bring you in as a house.
Oh, yeah. One of the things you can do is get a house concert.
Yeah, and it's great. And play for, your friends and stuff. So everything kind of comes full circle with all of that. So you're here in New York. Great looking guy. My friend Kobe Cole just wrote on there. He's hot. Yes, Kobe, he is. Great looking guy. You're here in New York. Acting opportunities.
Because once again, I'm kind of creating my own space. I'm in my show, and we'll probably be in the new one I'm writing. So I'm kind of writing parts for myself. I have kind of put it to myself to start auditioning for things because I sing a lot of musical theater stuff here and have been a part of that world for a long time. I've never auditioned for shows, and I'm kind of getting to the right age to do some of the. I'm not the ingenue, but I can definitely play the. There's
so many roles for somebody like you. What's making you like now feeling okay to do that and you didn't do it before?
Well,
because you have a typical actor look.
I was traveling a lot. I was putting out albums a lot.
Right.
I just wasn't settled in one place for very often. Having to if I got a show, I would have to rehearse and be set in that city for a long time, and that was kind of counter to what I was, because I used to literally, my process was write an album, make an album, tour for an album, write an album, make an album, tour for every 2 years pretty much. I have 9 albums out from that process.
Unbelievable. And is that, I don't know, I know very little about this world. Is that pretty typical?
I mean, I think that most artists are putting out an album at least, or when albums were a thing, because it's just you don't sell CDs anymore. So I think it's really been disrupted now. Everybody's putting out singles one at a time, and
I noticed that. So how does that affect you?
Well, it's how you make money as a singer-songwriter has completely changed. being able to tour, what you sell at gigs. That's why the Patreon thing's so important. You know, I used to be able to sell CDs at gigs or merch at gigs. Now I've got to find a new way to do that because part of the money you make is the venue paying you or the house concert paying you. You also used to make money on selling product, and there's no product anymore because everybody streams it. And I am available. All my stuff can be streamed, but I make 0.03 of a cent when the song is streamed, as opposed to, you know, it's 10 or 20 bucks when a CD was sold.
Okay, right. But why can't you sell I'm the person that goes to these things and I buy the CD. There's a lot of us out there.
There are, and
the
I still go with CDs.
Thing is just like,
unfortunately, it's less. You know, I think it was just reported that somebody had a #1 song in America, and all they sold was 17,000 CDs. Like, that's all it took to be #1, because so few CDs sell. Right. Now it's all based in streaming. And as much as you have, I don't even have a CD player. Like, a Macintosh computer doesn't come with a DVD player.
Well, anymore. But no, you can get, Mark, I love sharing this with you. You can get the outboard. I have the outboard on my
buy that.
Right. Right.
Or have that, you know.
Well,
cars don't even come with a CD player anymore.
Oh, right. My car is used.
Yeah. I put out an album with I put out the first ever commercially distributed USB album called My Mighty Magic Stick. And
I saw that.
And now USB doesn't come with a Macintosh computer.
And I looked at that. I saw that you did a USB, this magic stick. Mm-hmm. And for someone like me, I had to like read it 4 times to realize what a magic stick was. I'm like, what the heck is a magic stick?
It made a lot of puns for My Mighty Magic Stick.
Oh, I'm sure. It's like, here comes Mark with his Mighty Magic Stick.
A lot of people are fans of My Mighty Magic Stick. It had 32 songs on it. It was bigger than you were expecting it to be.
Right.
My Mighty Magic Stick.
But
puns.
So with the Mighty Magic Stick, you still sell that, right?
I still have it, yeah.
Will you do that, though, for everything that you put out? Can you put everything on
Unfortunately, now that there's not USB on Macs, and a lot of cars have USB, but not directly to their radios, because it used to be you could plug the USB.
But all you got to do is get the cord.
Yeah, but also
I do all of this. I get the cord.
I wish everybody was you.
You know, well, because I would miss music that way. I would miss things.
I mean, I loved it. Everybody listens on their phone now. I wish I might try and see if there's a way I can make an album that you just plug into the phone. But really, I think the way forward is you have to accept that streaming is a thing and play along with it.
Right.
Because that's what it's going to be.
But you know what? With streaming being a thing, this is okay. Now here comes my biggest beef. Everybody's streaming. Yeah. Everything's streamed. You go to put on, you know, I have a Roku TV because I'm so technically broken. I have like the little, they give you a little remote. It only has a couple of choices on it, right up my alley. But you go on there and there's a gazillion choices. And then I go to my computer and I can stream this and I can stream that. And you know what ends up happening? I end up not doing anything at all because it's all too mucking fudge.
It's good and bad.
Am I the only person that said that to you? No, it's like we have too many choices.
It's good and bad in that I think that we have more access. Like, I can put out a song. Monday, I can write a song.
Right.
And the next day, my entire fan base can hear it. They can hear it just acoustic. I can record it on a Mac with a full production within a week. And for example, I wrote a song that mentioned the Antiques Roadshow.
Yes.
It was called That's Us. Within a week of me writing it, I put it up on YouTube. They do Google searches of their name.
Copyright infringement.
No, they messaged me and said, we love this song.
Oh my God.
Can we put it on our channel? So literally 2 weeks after I'd written the song, it was on the Antiques Roadshow channel, and 158,000 people had already listened to it within 2 weeks of writing it. That's something that couldn't happen in the 80s.
No, I agree with you. Let's talk about money now.
But that's the downside.
Everyone wants content for free.
Yeah, I didn't make it, other than it wasn't registered yet, so the streams, did nothing for me.
We love it. We're not going to pay you anything for it.
No, but
this is a problem.
It brought a lot of fans to me. A lot of people that wouldn't have even heard of me now went to my YouTube channel and listened to my other songs. And come to my shows.
They will come to your shows, and maybe I always tell people this. They're like, you're all over social media. How do you get paid for that? Well, how I get paid for that is people see it, and then they hire me for things they can actually pay me for. Yeah. But it just seems such a roundabout ass-end way of doing things.
Skip was one of my first patrons. Skip signed up for Patreon.
Our Skip, we love. Of course he was.
He is a supporter.
He is a great supporter of the arts. Absolutely. So with every single thing that you're doing, how do you have time for a relationship? You're so busy, Mark, and you're on the road. And, even when I went through your website, it's like, he did this, he did that. It's like hither, dither, and yonder.
How does any busy person make, I've got a great guy and
he has a great guy. He totally does. I met him. Yeah.
That's right. You met him.
Yeah.
And
handsome,
he also
young,
writes
music writer, and photographer.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the reason my Instagram is so good. He curates for me.
Oh my God. You got yourself a peach with that.
I'm a lucky man.
So, particularly impressive. You've played at the White House?
I did play at the White House. I had a single that did really well, an internet single called Aquaman's Lament. And
wait, like Aquaman from
DC Comics.
Right. Okay.
I wrote a song about Aquaman getting drunk and being jealous of Batman and trying to steal his girlfriend. It was just a joke of a song.
You're a goofy, kooky guy, right?
I didn't think anything would come of it, but a fan of mine made a video using World of Warcraft, and that video took off. You can Google that. It's Aquaman's Lament.
Yeah, I did Google it.
Millions and millions of
Absolutely.
hits. And because of that, every year during the Obama years, anyways, the president would invite 30 people to do a Christmas concert in the White House, and each branch of the White House staff got to pick who they wanted to come. And the interns, who were all these goofy college kids, picked me.
I love it. That's great.
So I got to go
But
and
you
play at the White House.
played at the White House.
It was a huge honor.
A huge honor. And how many people can honestly say that they did that?
Was,
the more we talk, the more I realize there are some people in our industry that will contrive every single move that they make. Now, we can call it focused. Okay. We can call it aggressive. We can call it a lot of things. Mark, on the other hand, it is very interesting. You do your thing. You do your thing. There's not an ulterior motive. You create your art. You promote your craft. And things come of it.
I think if you just put out good stuff for as long as you possibly can, stuff will happen to you.
My husband is across from here who does our lighting, Alan Kaplan, and Alan is shaking his head up and down because he totally agrees with you, right? Alan really believes if the product is good enough, the notoriety and financial success will follow.
I mean, I know people who are absolutely amazing who have not been discovered yet. So I think there's an element of persistence as well.
Right.
But if you put out good stuff for a long time, eventually people come to you.
Right. They if you build it, they will come. Yes. I think that's.
But I am going to be. I'm never going to be Beyonce. I'm never going to be. I've settled into not making millions and millions of dollars. But I make a good living. I love my.
You make your living, which is really guy. Yeah. You are
again no trauma. I need more trauma.
Okay, stick around with me. I got trauma. I got drama. I am happy to share it with you. So here's what I really want to know. Going forward, right? What do you think with what's happening in the music industry, and how is it going to affect you? You seem to have built a solid base. You have your ways to bring income in, but what do you see going forward? Because many people in our industry are disheartened about it.
I worry that if I were new and didn't have an audience already,
he worries.
I don't know how somebody would start. Like if you're a writer who didn't perform, I don't know how you would start. But there are a couple things I'm planning on. I'm starting to look into getting songs onto television and ads and stuff like that, because that's kind of the new radio now. Yeah. If you look at what happened to Kate Bush's song from Stranger Things, for example. Right. If you can get a song on television, that's sort of how, or an indie song. There are a lot of the rest of my friends, the Rescues, just had a song in Umbrella Academy. Just if you get songs placed like that, people hear you, and that would be the way forward. The other thing is writing for theater. You can't download a theater experience. It's good. No, really great point. Right. The show that you're writing, it'll be a theatrical performance. Okay, and whether I'm in it or not, it's still it has a life of its own. You write it, and then if it's popular and good, again, if it's good, people come to it, and then it allows you to write a second one. So I'd really like my second act to be writing more theater stuff. And then Patreon is a great thing because I don't need to travel for that. I have 3 albums worth of new material up on Patreon, and have a venue for my new stuff that does end up paying me. Even if it's just $3 a person. It's something. Well, and when 1,000 people are doing that, it's not such a bad it really makes all the sense in the world. So you have not only performed in the United States, you were in the UK for a bit. Yeah, I lived in London for 3 years. What was the thought behind going to London? London still has public radio, so somebody can hear you in a bar and put you on the radio the next day.
Okay,
That
I
was
love this.
amazing.
Right. Wait.
Also, there's a pub culture in London.
Yeah.
Every neighborhood has its local pub, and there's trivia one night and bingo one night and live music another night. So I could just tour the different counties of London and have 7 gigs a week if I
But
wanted.
how did you know how to do this? You know, I haven't had one person that talked about performing. They've performed in other parts of Europe, but what you're telling about London with a pub culture, you know, you really have to start thinking out of the box to do that. What was the thought behind it?
It was literally just I want to, you know, I've been around America. I have friends in the UK.
You had friends in the UK.
My
right.
albums did well in the UK.
Yeah, time to go.
And also, like I said, I show up at a laundromat and say, you should have music. It should be me. So I would just show up at a pub and say, you have music. You should have music. It should be me.
And they said, jolly good.
Well, they you know, I when a songwriter who has 9 albums, you know, and not to brag, but my albums are good. I would let them hear the albums and say, you know, I'll play in your pub, and they have an American accent. It's sort of like when a British person comes here, we just assume they're kind of interesting and cool and
right.
smart.
But you know, when you have the material, and it is like a set piece. I know when I put small shows together out where I am in Pennsylvania, I'm working on one now. I've had people approaching me for an event I'm doing on the 30th of July, Pike County Pride, and they're like, "Oh, can I perform in the show?" So the first thing I ask, some of them are young and they don't know. I'm like, you have to send me something. I need to have something to listen to. You can't just say like, yes, you have to know, you have to send something.
Yeah. Well, and now with the computer, everybody can hear all my stuff.
Right.
And see the videos. And so they, you know, I think I've gotten to a level where if somebody wants to have live music and they can see what I do online, booking me is not a bad idea. Especially in London pubs, the crowd is, people go to their local pub regardless of what's going on.
It's the culture. Yeah,
so.
It's really such a part of the culture to do that. Now you had okay, so this is my little secret. People all used to have blogs. Some people still have blogs, but I love drumming up my guest blogs, you know. And I found an entry on Mark's blog from 2009, but I loved it. Mark had a bit of the experience with the police in the UK. Tell us a little bit about that.
It was just it's funny. I forgot that I even put that up, but
I loved it though.
I perform when I do cover songs. I have all my cover songs on a laptop,
right?
So I can have the chords and lyrics and stuff. And a guy ran into I was playing a show in Angel, which is a little suburb of London, and a guy saw my laptop, grabbed it, and ran off. And within, I'd say 20 minutes, the police brought my laptop back.
Within 20 minutes.
It was crazy. I mean, I thought, oh no, I'm screwed. All my songs
But
are
they
on there.
actually, what really impressed me, they had gone into detail of, you know, they looked into it. If that were to happen here, Mark's laptop would have ended up with a pile of laptops that maybe they would get to, but they actually went into it.
They saw a guy with a laptop running. They assumed that that's not a normal thing. They stopped him. They asked him about the laptop. They asked him to turn it on, and the password wouldn't let him in, so they knew it wasn't his.
Right.
And then, but I'm trying to remember how. I can't remember how they knew it was mine. I think they saw in the newspaper that I was playing at this bar, and that's why they went to the bar.
Okay, but that is really critical thinking to get you to that. They
Googled the name on the computer, saw that I was performing that night in Angel, and brought it back.
All right, but you know that couldn't happen
good police work.
Right. We have.
That's why I blogged about it. I was so impressed with the London police.
I was so impressed reading that. I'm like, wow, that's a reason to go to the UK, right?
London's a great city.
No,
I love New York more. I always.
You are a New Yorker.
I have a list of things I prefer about New York than London, but there are a couple of things I prefer about London than New York.
Now, I know your partner is in the New York nightlife, connected with the Q Club, which I totally adore. Frankie Sharp has been on our show.
We were just singing there last night.
And Tym Moss, of course. You were there last night?
Last night.
You have to let me know when you're doing this. Wait.
Every Tuesday, the same people who do Club Coming, Lance Horn, and do the same thing.
But you're not going to be there every Tuesday at the Q, are you mind?
Most Tuesdays.
Okay. I've got to write that down then, because I'm invited everywhere. But Tym Moss, of course, had his fabulous 60th birthday extravaganza with incredible performers, incredible audience. We had that at the Q. We love the Q. So what's it like for you? I never think of you as like, like I'm a hardcore club person. You were never a hardcore club person.
I prefer to, if I go out in New York, it's usually Sunday through Wednesday, just
right.
so I can be with the locals and not
right.
Yeah,
And you,
but every once in a while, I feel like dancing.
I like
Rare,
that.
but every once in a while.
Mark, Aaron,
I'm
James,
chill.
you are chill, but every once in a while likes to be footloose and fancy free.
It's true.
So, are you thinking about in the future after you do this musical?
Mhm.
That's a big thing to do.
Yeah.
Where do you see putting it? Where do you see going with it?
That's what's hard about doing theater is
I
it costs so much
It costs
just
so much.
to do
Well, that's
readings
why I'm
and
asking
stuff.
that.
And the New York Musical Theater Festival, it doesn't exist anymore, but there are festivals.
Well, there's a ton of festivals.
And I'm
so-
kind of looking at the way Hedwig did it.
Yeah.
I already play in rock venues, so I'm doing concert versions of the show.
Okay.
Or having the actors come in and do readings where we then play the songs live, and kind of giving the show an audience before it gets to a theater.
That, my dear, is a formula.
Yeah.
That is,
So-
and that's a brilliant way. You're right, because it costs so much to produce shows.
I'm in talks with a bar right now that has a stage about doing a once a month reading of the new show, or alternating Hero, my new show, and then Friends. I have a lot of friends who write for theater, and having a feature of something that's theater in their show, and it's on in the 40s in the Hell's Kitchen area, so it's in the theater district.
Right, you're in the theater district.
So that's kind of how I'm. The only issue is having. I have a lot of actors who are in the union, and I don't want to short them or anything, but getting union actors into your show, even if it's in a bar, becomes complex and a little expensive.
Well, that would fall under equity, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
And
I'm an equity actor.
can
You
usually
can get the equity waiver.
passes and waivers.
Yeah,
and
you
stuff.
can get
It's a
the
lot
waivers.
of paperwork to do for a show, but it's worth doing.
But it's your show, and that way, I know I go to theater for the New City is great. What is the other one? ATA.
I'm only learning now how to pitch shows to these theaters.
ATA
and there are a lot of
is
shows.
great.
Also, post-COVID, a lot of theaters
Yeah.
aren't doing new material or unproven material because they didn't make money for 2.5 years.
Right.
So getting a new show on, and I'm unproven. My other than the
I'll
the
tell
Mint
them how
Festival.
great you are. That's what I
If
do.
you can get a theater
I
put
am
on
the
here,
town crier. I will tell them how
I can use
great
all
you
the help I can get.
how great you are. It did not occur to me that because of COVID, it's just like Broadway, right? Doing revivals, people want to go with a sure thing,
Yeah.
as opposed to trying something new.
Taking a risk on a show, right? Well, putting on a show in New York is so expensive. If you haven't worked for 2.5 years, you're going to opt for a Little Shop of Horrors before you do. This guy's never been heard of, and we've never seen his play before.
No, exactly. Did you watch the Tonys?
I did.
And I've asked everybody this question. Tell me what you thought. It was very different this year. I totally loved it. It was much more out of the box than it's ever been, which I liked. But what was your opinion of it?
I mean, I thought that I was excited about how inclusive Broadway is becoming.
Yes, and diverse.
I thought she was a brilliant host and really
Brilliant
fun.
host. She was so full of life.
Yeah, and I feel like Broadway's being more honest with itself a little bit. I do wish that there's two things happening at once. I wish that Broadway were affordable again for the average Joe to see it as much as they should, because there's a lot of great stories being told. But I was excited by it. I see a lot of shows, so it always makes me excited to see who's in what. And now, having been in New York for a long time and singing at places like the Q, I'm friends with a lot of people who are in these shows and producing these shows and making these shows. And hopefully that'll be me in a few years.
Well, more than hopefully. How do you promote yourself out there? Do you have a PR person? Do you do all your own? I always ask people this. I have to do everything. I work with World Star Media. They're incredible, but I have to push myself like crazy.
When I have projects out, I hire a publicist.
You will hire a
Hero had a publicist.
Yeah. So you do it specifically for a project, not as an ongoing thing.
Correct. I have an agent that books me for shows, for private shows and stuff like that. But then I book myself for house concerts and Patreon stuff.
I love this. Yeah.
But I don't think there's a one equation that works and is the overall way to go. I think you just have to figure out what does work and what doesn't work, and then do that for yourself.
It's funny, every single thing that you're saying, I imagine you talking to a group of new, young singers, songwriters, actors coming to New York. This would be the advice
I
you
have
would
done
give?
that. I've been a presenter at the College Music Journal conference about house concerts and about how to kind of promote yourself and do those things. So I've actually spoken at festivals on those topics.
On those topics.
It's like any job, you have to hustle.
Right. I do feel though in this industry you have to hustle much more than normal. And certainly two things I will say. My co-host Tim Moss and I talk about this all the time. You were saying about the price of a Broadway show. It's really prohibitive for many people. However, all of the off-Broadway that's done is so incredible. There's so many fine shows.
Even those shows, I basically got investors in Hero, and about 10% of the show is owned by those investors.
Right.
And even if I bring it to another theater now, that's part of, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background.
A lot of components.
To make even an off-Broadway show happen.
Right. There are a lot of things, but I'm a big believer now on off-Broadway. I've had some amazing people come on this show. Quinn Lemley was just on as Rita Hayworth, Turn Up the Heat. And she took a residency with that show, which, by the way, worked on for 20 years. I'm like, you've been working on this for 20 years? Met the writers, met everyone involved. 20 years is a very long time. And they put it up as a project at Don't Tell Mama every couple of weeks. That's been their residency. The show was absolutely unbelievable. And my question is, why has nobody from Broadway come to them? And my God, if I were going to be, what do they call those, angels?
Oh.
If I were going to there's so much fine work out there.
It's such a risk, though.
It's a risk.
It's so rare that a show does well.
It's a risk.
And you're putting millions of dollars, even in an off-Broadway show, you're putting hundreds of thousands of dollars into the development. If it doesn't go any further, you're not getting that money back.
Right.
There are people who have that kind of money to burn.
Yeah, there are. I think that there
not
totally
many of them
are.
are investing in theater, unfortunately.
Well,
but if you happen to be one of those people,
and you're listening,
please email in.
Right
I'll happily give you a piece of the pie. And,
there you
to
go.
Make the show. I'm very proud of these shows and want them to have a life. So
as you should be. I want to give a shout out to everyone who tuned in today. And I'm doing this without glasses, so I'm not seeing everybody. But Kobe Cole has the most incredible remark of the day. He's so hot. Kobe does the Nouveau Riche show here once a month, as well as an amazing performer in his own right. I believe he rescheduled his show. You got to catch him. His Nouveau Riche show is once a month, the last Tuesday of the month. His Pride show blew us out of the water, so make sure you catch it. Of course, here at Pangea. Tim Moss, of course, chimed in today with my reminder. You can catch myself and so many other wonderful people in Chauncey Dandridge and Jack Tracy's show, Abort the Court at Stonewall. That's this Thursday night. It is a fundraiser for an amazing cause. Abort the Court at Stonewall. Doors open at 6:30 and the show goes till 9 o'clock at night. Again, we have so many fine performers in New York. So please, you are welcome to join us there. I'm very excited about once again performing at Stonewall. I love to perform there. Teresa Sabin, such an amazing support system. I have never met her in person, and she always tunes in, and she's been such a great tuner inner. I like that, a tuner inner for our show. And if I missed anybody on the chat there, please forgive me. It's not my strongest suit, as you know. You have a minute or two left. What would you like to tell people out there?
Well, please find me online. Listen to this. I have a lot of quirky ways. I've got a YouTube channel, the Patreon. If you'd like to join Patreon,
tell us your YouTube channel.
It's Mark Aaron. Everything's under Mark Aaron James except for Instagram. On Instagram, I'm James Aaron Mark.
Okay, all right. That could really mess somebody up.
So it's. Yeah, if you search for Mark Aaron James, it still comes up.
Right.
I'm easily Googled.
You are, honest to God, this guy, no bragging aside, really easily Googled. I've had incredible people, and then I go to do the Google just to make sure I'm getting all the information on them. These are people that you've heard of, and I can't find things on them. It makes you insane. Why are you at the top of the Google list?
First of all, I was one of the first artists to have
when I
went to college, I went to college with an IT guy. Who ended up owning the first IP address in Nashville. So I had a website up before most major artists did. So I've been online for a long time. Then also I just, whenever I put something out, I make sure to Google optimize it and things like that. And
Google optimization,
Yeah.
is that like SEO, search engine optimization? Is it the same thing?
I guess so. I'm not very technical either, but I do know
pass.
that I do know that whenever you're doing something you want people to see, you have to make sure people can see it.
Is that not the God's honest truth? If you want people to see you, you got to make sure they can see you. There you
True
go.
that.
Thank you so much, Mark Aaron
It's a
James.
joy.
You
Thank you for
are
having me.
a pleasure. And yes, I will come to your Tuesday night at the Q's. So you're going to let me know about that. And please come and see what we're doing at Nouveau Riche here at PANGEA. The last Tuesday of the month is Kobe Cole's baby. And thank you, everybody who tuned in today for If These Walls Could Talk. I believe Tym Moss will be streaming with us next week. He's doing his summer. He's somewhere.
Safe travels, Tim.
Yeah, safe travel. Tim's such an incredible artist. He just finished 50 Shades of Gay in Chicago with our wonderful friend Ike Avelli, and we love our world. Support the arts, everybody. It's what keeps us going. Bye-bye.
Bye.